we talked a little bit about Luka. They're 5 games in, MacMahon, in the Kyrie experience, but Luka and Kyrie have only played 58 minutes together. I think they're 2-3 since the trade. Kyrie didn't play on Wednesday night in Denver. Denver is now 27-4 on their home floor. So, good luck. If goes through Denver, it's going to be advantage Nuggets. I was looking at some numbers in the 58 minutes that Kyrie and Luka have played together. The team has scored 146 points. That's pretty spectacular. That's number one offense type territory, and they've given up 140. So it's plus. It's plus.
Yeah.
What do you think of what you've seen so far there?
Listen, it's obviously way too early to be jumping to any kind of conclusions. I think the biggest conclusion you can jump to is when Kyrie is available, the Mavs no longer fall off a cliff in the non-Luka minutes. And that has been their biggest problem. They have been, with Luka on the floor this season, scoring at a league best clip. Before this trade, when Luka was off the floor, they were league worst clip, right? That ain't happening anymore. Like, Kyrie is fully capable of, scoring 26 points in the fourth quarter with Luka sitting out the first 6 minutes of that quarter and just absolutely dominating the game. Or, leading the Mavericks to wins in, LA against the Clippers, a win over the Kings in Sacramento, 2 playoff teams where the Mavericks, it's funny, they didn't win a single game without Luka this season until that trade. Then they had the weird win in Utah where Kyrie hadn't joined the team yet. I think you had guys who had their bags packed and weren't quite sure which plane they were jumping on the Jazz at that point. That was probably a factor there.
Yeah.
But then, really impressive wins over the Clippers and Kings. Look, the offense is not going to be an issue. And they'll figure the in the game things. It's tiny sample size. Luka took a step back that he admitted, hey, I should have gotten the ball to Kyrie there. He was cooking.
Yeah, it's not a great shot.
Yeah. And it's
not often you see Luka looking to pass in a last shot situation.
Well, he does actually lead the league. I think he leads the league in clutch assists this year, but that's because he has the ball in his hands all the time. But, it's his first game back. He was clearly gassed. Kyrie been cooking. Like Luka admitted after that game, hey, I should have gotten the ball. That's my bad, is what he said. And then the next game is like, you take it. No, you take it. No, you please. It's like they're being too nice. They're being too unselfish. And they end up coughing up a turnover down 3 in the final seconds. Now, look, the reason they lost the only reason they had any chance in that game is Kyrie went bonkers, literally the highest scoring quarter of his career. They got down 26 to the Timberwolves because these guys can't stop a freaking nosebleed.
Nope.
This team's terrible defensively. Now, I have some good news. Maxi Kleber expects to be able to play after the All-Star break. Like, he expects to be able to come back, when the break ends.
Can they also clone him?
Well, I was going to say, they
need like 5 of Maxi to go with those 2 guys.
At least 2. Geez, at least 2.
Right, because they need 48 minutes of them.
Right.
And you got to manage his minutes under any circumstances, but especially coming back off of a torn hamstring and surgery. But that will be a massive help. Josh Green, honestly, these last couple games, the last couple games he stunk. And I wonder if all the minutes have kind of hit him, but he's probably their 3rd best player now. And
I would say remove probably. I think he's pretty clearly the 3rd best player.
And that is both a testament to how much he has developed, his progress this year, and a criticism of the roster, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think this team has enough to make a run through the Western Conference. What I will say is it's going to be really fun to watch. And then, hey, we'll see what happens this summer. This might be a blink and you miss it. Kyrie stint in Dallas. And, that's pretty clear. And by the way, Kyrie's saying he doesn't want to talk about that it's unwarranted distractions. He's well within his rights.
Yeah. I mean, he came to Dallas, they started when they did the trade, they were on a West Coast trip. Mm-hmm. So he had several games before he get there. So he came to Dallas, had his first sort of big press conference. And asked the media, basically did not ask him about his future.
Well, we had asked him about that after his first practice. I asked him about it, and he basically said, "Hey, no pressure. We're going to see how it goes. Neither side is pushing for an extension. It doesn't make sense for Kyrie at this point because he could only do 2 years anyways, and this whole test drive thing for the Mavericks, whatever." And then he was asked about it again the first time he met with the Dallas media at large. And look, he has said basically what he has to say is, "Hey, focused on this year, and then we'll see what happens this summer." And it's not like he owes anybody any sort of a commitment. The Mavericks made this trade knowing there's not going to be any sort of an immediate commitment.
And I actually respect him saying that, because if he had come out and said, "Oh my God, I love my rental place here. I love whatever. I want to be in Dallas for all time," none of us would have believed it, because he has no credibility. So I think.
I would say could film another Nike commercial, but that's not an option. But you know what I'm saying? Like this whole thing of trying to figure out where his number is going to go. I'll say this: I do think his number will be up in the AAC rafters, but that's because it was Jason Kidd's number when they won a championship.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was Jason Kidd's number. It was Isaiah Thomas's number. It was Facu Campazzo's number. There's been a lot of great point guards numbers in Mavericks history. Yeah, J. Kidd wore 5 the first time, 2 the second time, but 2 he had for the title.
Wow. Yeah. I guess I didn't think about that. Okay. So Bontemps, here's my thought on the Mavericks. I think they've actually got a lot of potential. They just don't have it with this roster. And so what they need to do is get a transaction cycle in this summer and see if they can tweak it. They still have 2 first-round picks left they can trade. They have some interesting players in the roster. I would not trade Josh Green unless it was for a bona fide number 3 star. But Jaden Hardy is an interesting player. They could potentially sign and trade Chris Wood. I'm just saying they have options this summer, as long as Kyrie resigns.
I was going to say, if there's value in a sign and trade, I think it's Kyrie's the one being signed and traded.
Well, I'm just going to say, they have Tim Hardaway, that he has some value potential. They could attach a pick to him and get something. I just don't think that they're going to be able to put their best foot forward, Bontemps, with this team. I think they're going to need for it to work, for them to give this a shot. I understand that that they're not married to this, but I think that there needs to be some level of commitment to give this thing a real shot.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, they can't guard enough to win. I mean, MacMahon just laid it out, right? I looked it up while he was talking. I mean, they're 20th in defense in the 4 or 5 games they've had since Kyrie started playing for their team. That's probably about where they should be. They don't have
that's an improvement over what they were before. Actually.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? They're a bottom 10 defensive team quite clearly. The question is, are they 27th or are they 21st? But they're not. If they're somehow in the top half of the league with this group, then that's a huge credit to Jason Kidd and Sean Sweeney and the scheming that they're doing with those guys, because they shouldn't be able to guard somebody. I don't remember who said this, but somebody compared them to the last few days to what the Jazz have been the last couple of years without Rudy Gobert, and I think that's a pretty good comparison. They don't have any perimeter athleticism on the defensive end other than Josh Green. The Jazz had Royce O'Neal.
Reggie Bullock is still a good defender.
He's okay, but they don't have they've got a lot of guys who are targets, and they don't have Rudy Gobert behind them to back them up. So again, you're asking a whole heck of a lot of Maxi Kleber, who is a terrific player, but is coming off a torn hamstring, like you said, that had surgery on it, to make up for a lot of holes. So I agree, Brian. I think there is the potential, in theory, of putting something together around this group, but then you're talking about building long-term around Kyrie Irving, and that means your franchise is going to immolate in some form or fashion in the near future. It's just a matter of how. So it's not a great situation either way.
Kevin Durant is, right as we're doing this, is giving his introductory press conference in Phoenix. Our buddy Nick Friedel is there. This is what he said about the Kyrie trade request. He said it was tough to stomach. We were finally building a culture that we always wanted. I didn't know what was going on with Kyrie and his situation with the organization. So that's interesting that he didn't know. Without him, we didn't have a clear identity. So, It's interesting because it was unclear exactly how looped in Durant was. He's making it sound like he wasn't looped in, but that's who the Mavericks have to decide about. You know, it is just whether Kyrie wants to stay. It's about what the Mavericks want to offer.
It's not. Here's the thing: it might not be the Mavericks' decision to make. Like, hey, if Kyrie says, you know what, I won a championship with LeBron James, I know he wants to play with me again. That sounds good to me. I'd love to go play for the Lakers. It might not be the Mavericks' decision to make.
They traded for a guy who's an unrestricted free agent in 6 months.
Right.
That's what they did.
With no assurances. And again, if that's the way it plays out, I'm not going to criticize Kyrie Irving for that. He's under no obligation to make a commitment to the Mavericks right now.
No, you're going to criticize the team that decided to invest in Kyrie Irving once again.
Yeah, but I know how this is going to go. The way that you're going to be able to sway him is by offering more years, more money, more years.
Well,
that's
listen,
what he said.
I'm just going to cut you off right there. The idea that you know what's going to sway this guy
fair.
in any form, come on.
Yeah,
right.
But if you put and look, the Mavericks gave it was Donnie Nelson, not Nico Harrison, but it was still Mark Cuban, and that's ultimately who makes the final decisions. He gave Kristaps Porzingis a 5-year max contract with a player option. Do you think
with an ACL?
Yeah.
Do you think they're really going to play hardball with Kyrie Irving?
They can't. They can't afford to. They're pot committed. Whether they want to say they're not, they are. They
right.
You know, we've talked about it a bunch. They had maybe one swing to make. Maybe they can find a way to manufacture a second one, but this was their swing.
Their
they're going to be trying to keep him.
Realistically, would be with his sign and trade. You know, with his bird rights via sign and trade. I saw. Can
I interest you in D'Angelo Russell?
No, but there was another guy on that Lakers roster that you can interest me in. And
now we're getting in the deep end of the pool. Let's be careful.
Let's not even go there. Let's not even go there right now.
I'm just saying, I saw something on Twitter today. I've had a birdie mention that as hey, just
No. I don't. Enjoy your vacation. Enjoy your vacation.
I'm not going to say okay.
The thing that Bontemps has talked about is what you guys are dancing around here is the pressure that is now on the Mavericks organization.
2023 AD. Go on.
It's almost like someone
wants to get in trouble.
He's on vacation, stirring stuff up. It's almost like MacMahon is writing a book about the pressures of building around a star and trying to make it happen.
Big pressure in Dallas. Cuban is paying the luxury tax this year. They were already paying the tax.
Right.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.